Hello, Scribblers. I'm Katie, the founder and CEO of the Scribblers Den, your online source for writing craft courses and writing community. We're so glad that you've joined us for another interview. Today, we're chatting with Julie, I'm going to get it wrong, Navickas.
Yes, you did it.
Yes, okay, Julie Navickas, a small press romance author. Her books include I Loved You Yesterday, I Love You Today, I'll Love You Tomorrow, Trusting Love, Finding Love, and Chasing Love. So those are both sets like trilogies, right?
Exactly. Two separate
Yes,
trilogies. Yes.
love it. Julie's love of storytelling began in fourth grade when she received the Young Authors Award at school and has continued into publishing six books since she started writing in 2020, which is awesome. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm looking forward to a great conversation.
Super fun. All right, so your first book in the Trading Hearts trilogy, which one that was I Loved You Yesterday?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Started actually as a screenplay that you wrote in grad school and then you revised it to become a novel. So, screenplays, very different beast from manuscripts. Can you just tell us a little bit about that process and how easy or difficult it was?
Absolutely. Yeah. Kind of an unconventional start, I would say for sure, but you're absolutely right. So that very first story, it was an assignment that I received in a writing for media course way back in grad school a million years ago. And I wrote this, I mean, just a terrible screenplay, right? Like just learning, just trying to figure out, like how do you nail the dialogue without having the description? It's its own, like you said, it's its own beast to kind of find
Yeah.
a figure out. So I wrote this terrible story, right? And I got an A on it. I was so pleased. And I put it in a folder and put it in a file cabinet. And it sat there for about 10, at least 10 years.
Oh, wow.
And then the pandemic happened, right? And I don't know what prompted me, why I thought about it. Maybe I randomly found it. I honestly don't recall. But I got my hands on it again and I looked at it and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so embarrassing. But my gosh, I still love these characters. And there's kind of a compelling story here that I can work with. And, my passion is not in screenplays, it's
Mhm.
not necessarily in film, but it is in storytelling. And so even though I didn't want to pursue the same piece that I was working on, it definitely informed the story that I started that day. So I just kind of took it as more of like an inspiration. Some of the characters changed, they shifted, more was built together, but it inspired the story that I wrote, even though I'll call it loosely based on that originally screenplay.
Oh my gosh. I love that you got an A on it. So I feel like the moral of the story is do your homework because one day it could be a book.
Exactly. And it's kind of funny now. I still talk to that instructor and he's like, so that assignment that I gave you, right? Like you're welcome. I'm like, honestly, yeah, kind of thank you. I wouldn't have
Yeah.
had it otherwise.
No, that's awesome. Um, did you find it difficult to like kind of go back and add all that in? Because you kind of mentioned how writing a screenplay is it's like all dialogue. You leave out that
Yeah.
description. So how was that?
It was very difficult. That first story that I wrote, I Loved You Yesterday. I mean, that was my first attempt at writing a novel, right? So you're right. When you're writing a screenplay, you're really relying on dialogue with very minimal action cues. So you
Mhm.
had to go back in there and you had to imagine what was happening and then go fill in all of the rest that's not included in a screenplay. So hugely challenging, but I think it was kind of nice because that screenplay is kind of like it's like a bare bones, right? It's like an
Yeah.
outline, a skeleton, and it kind of informed what those stories were going to look like, who those character words, what the larger plot entailed. So it was really nice. It was a structured outline for me that worked really well.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Hmm.
just really quick, like,
Yeah.
do you happen to remember how many pages like your novel is versus the screenplay?
Ooh, that's a good question. Okay, so I don't recall the program that I used in grad
Mhm.
school, but I remember printing it because at the time it was a requirement that I
Yes.
print it and hand it out, right? The world has changed. But it was probably upwards of 100 pages, right?
Okay.
Which I'm sure is not like a full length feature. This was my sad attempt at it in school. But when we have the formatted ebook, I think that
Mhm.
particular story is roughly just shy of 300 pages.
Okay. Yeah. So I
Yeah.
just like it always
Hmm.
impresses me the difference. I have a
Yeah.
friend who writes screenplays
Oh,
and
cool.
she's like, oh yeah, it's like 100 pages. And I'm like, how do you
Right.
do a whole thing in 100 pages? So
Because it's dialogue and
yeah,
direction. Yeah, exactly. Like you don't have to do that developmental piece that you do in a novel.
Yeah, and somebody just sees that and they're like, oh yeah, I'll bring it to life visually. And you're like, okay,
Right. It makes you
go
think twice
Buster.
about the talent of an actor, right? Who can just
Hmm.
take dialogue and make it their own and fill in those gaps. Very
Yeah, yeah.
difficult. It's not
It's
for me.
really, yeah, like way I've always looked, I'm like, oh, I think I want to do this. And I'm like, oh no. Mm-mm.
Turns out I don't. It's
Yeah, I
really hard.
don't. Staying away from it.
Hmm.
Um, all right. So you have published 6 books in 5 years, which is awesome. Congratulations.
Thank
With
you.
Inkspell Publishing. So can you just tell us how
Mhm.
you got started with Inkspell and why you chose them to champion your books?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll take you back to 2020. I mean, the world was chaos as we all know
Yes.
it for very different reasons for everyone. But I had spent some time as just like the story was kind of just like a creative outlet for me, right?
Mhm.
Um, it's a space away from my kids, from my work, one of those. And so I wrote this story in the summer of 2020. And then by the end of 2020, I was like, well, I'm actually really proud of this and I like it and I think it could go somewhere. There was a potential to, do like a sequel to it. Obviously, it turned into a trilogy, but I'm like, all right, I'm going to learn how to do this, right? How do I publish this? What do I need to do? So I thought at first, all right, the traditional publishing path, this makes sense for me. Why don't I start writing a query letter? I'm going to do some, research on agents and I'm just going to see where it goes.
Yeah.
Well, it didn't get very far because as I've discovered, I had no idea what I was doing and I was doing all kinds of things wrong, right? As we do when we're learning.
Yes.
But I did have one saving grace, right? And I did receive an email from Inkspell Publishing, which was a direct submission on my part. It required no agent.
Mhm.
And I thought at the time, my gosh, there is somebody in this world who sees value in this story and they believe in me. And so did a little research, learned more about not just traditional publishing, not just self-publishing, but small press publishing.
Yeah.
And so I was like, absolutely, like, where do I sign? So that launched into 5 more books after that, and it's been a wonderful partnership.
No, that's awesome. And I think that's really like I love that you mentioned that you did your research because I feel like with all 3 of those options, whether it's not
Yeah.
maybe not as much with self-publishing, but definitely small presses and with agents, like you've really got to be careful because there are some bad players in the game.
Oh,
Um, and they
yes.
can look really enticing. So you've got
Hmm.
to be able to
Indeed.
check those out and make sure that you're being protected. So I love that
Yeah.
you did that.
Without a doubt. Yes. Don't sign anything without
Yeah.
doing your research first,
Yes.
right? It's a
Due
lesson you only need
diligence.
to learn once. Yes, indeed.
So what has been kind of your biggest learning curve with the small press publishing? Like if you could go back and give Julie of 2020 some advice, what would you tell her?
Yes. So I don't want this to come off negatively, right? In
Yeah.
any sense of the word, because I truly have had a wonderful experience with Inkswell Publishing. They brought my dreams to life, right?
Mhm.
Um, One thing that I always tell individuals who are considering small press publishing is they're going to do exactly what they tell you they're going to do. They are going to publish your story. They're going to likely help you with your cover art. They're going to edit and they're going to format for you. After that, you are on your own. They are not going to help sell it for you. That is up to you. So, my innocent, naive 2020 version of Julie thought, okay, no problem. I can totally sell this on my own, right? Well, it's hard. Excuse me. Um, so I think if I could go back and think about what I would tell myself, I would give myself a little bit of I don't know, a check-in and just say, I'm so sorry. You have to be prepared to be able to know how to market and sell your books, and that's very difficult.
Oh yeah, no, that's so difficult. What did you do to kind of bridge that gap in the moment? Because obviously you were like, now what do I do? And you thought you could, but then you had some problems. So like where did that come in? Like what did you do?
Yeah, I think I saw the light right after I published my third novel. And when it comes to publishing a series of books, your first book is always going to sell best.
Mhm.
That's where people are always going to have the most interest. They're going to start from the beginning. So I did what I thought was really, really well from my very first story. And I'm like, oh, I'm so excited. My second one's going to do even better. And after that, even better. Well, I was wrong, right? That doesn't work that
Oh,
way. And so after the third story, I'm like, shoot, I really need to learn how to market and sell books and promote these on my own because I
Hmm.
don't have that support built into this contract. But unfortunately, or fortunately, right at the time, I had already agreed to do 3 more stories. Like I was knee deep and already writing like the first or second one for this new
Yeah.
trilogy. I had committed. So I knew as I was drafting the second trilogy that I was likely going to look at other publishing options after that sixth book had released from Inkspell.
Okay.
Mhm.
That's awesome. Like marketing has been my like the bane of my existence just
Ugh,
within like the
same.
business
Mhm.
world of the Scribblers stand. I'm like, how do I market this? Like, how do I do
Exactly.
this?
It's so difficult. It's a very
Yeah.
specialized skill set, and you have to have the finances and the resources to be able to do
Yeah.
it well. It's very challenging.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's exhausting because you don't like it starts out so slow and it's just about gaining that traction and really
Yep.
getting there. Um,
Mm-hmm.
that's why I'm doing videos now because I'm like, oh, maybe this is where I found the most traction. So I'm just
Engaging
I'm just
content.
running with it.
Exactly. Well,
Yeah.
yes, and you're doing a great job.
Thank you. Thank you. So my other question about publishing 6 books in 5 years, which again, like is just so phenomenal, like all of that goes into it. You're drafting, you're revising, line edits. So you have to be on some pretty tight timelines, I'm sure. So how do you handle kind of the process of drafting and revising? Do you
Mhm.
stick with one project until it's done, or do you switch between projects?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. My brain definitely works best if I'm focused on one thing at a time.
Me
Finish
too.
it, wrap it up, right? Move on to the next thing. And I hear from writers all the time who are like, "Oh no, I got like 7 stories in the works." Like, how do you do that? Like I couldn't my brain doesn't work that way, right? So my preference, and when I can do it, I will work on one story at a time. But the luxury of that, right, when you have such tight timelines for
Mhm.
publishing is you really can't, right? You can be drafting a story and then you'll have to pause that story and turn to editing an upcoming story that's ready to publish. Finish those edits, then you can come back to drafting, right?
Yeah.
And then typically a second round of edits is going to come back your way anyway. So you do have to bounce back, when it's needed, but preference, if I had any, single stories at a time.
No, I'm the same way. I want to do one thing until it's
Right.
done.
Yes.
Um, and then I can't even come up with a new idea until I'm done with an idea.
Me too. Me too.
Like
Yes.
I
It's a
get nothing.
distraction. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's so many other people who are like, "Oh, I just had this great idea for a story. I'm gonna write it down." And I'm like, "Where? Where did you get that?" Like I can't.
Exactly. I'm like so tunnel vision, so
Mhm.
focused on something until it's completed. Yes.
Yeah, and I'll get nervous like as I get to the end and I don't have that idea. I'm like, "Is this it? Is this my last
Yes.
book I'm ever going to write? Like, am I done?" And then it
Chances
always
are
comes
no, but
through. Yeah, but
Mhm.
I get that like heartbeat. It starts racing. It's just not great.
So true.
I'm glad I'm not the only one.
No, we have some overlap there.
Yes, 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 we do. Um, so, as we kind of speak about this overlap of like writing ideas and writing styles, so you are a self-proclaimed plotter turned pantser, which is
Yes.
amazing to me. I don't think I've ever met somebody who has gone in that direction. Usually I meet a lot of pantsers who are like, now I
Yes.
plot things.
Yes.
Um, so can you tell me a little bit about this shift and why it works for you as a writer?
Absolutely. Yes. I agree. It's a little backwards, I think, from what I've seen from other writers too, but I don't know. It totally works for me now. When I started writing, I was very meticulous and as most plotters do, right? You're thinking through the
Hmm.
larger structure of the story. You're thinking about your characters and what their arc is going to be and how you're going to tie things up and but leave a couple loose ends open for like your sequel and stuff. So like you have to be pretty strategic, right? And think through exactly what happens. And I did that for 6 books. And I can tell you by the time I was ready to draft my sixth book, I was bored.
Uh,
I didn't want to write it. And I'm like, shoot, that is not why I started doing this. Like I started writing for fun as a creative outlet to better a skill to fill my time in a meaningful way.
mhm.
And then I wasn't finding any of the joy in what I originally intended. So I painstakingly wrote my sixth book, which I do still adore. I do
Right.
still enjoy it. But I'll always think of that experience of like I was writing just because I had to, not because I wanted to.
Yeah, and that's
So
never
after,
fun.
Yeah, exactly. And so after I finished that sixth book, I was like, I have a friend, my writing buddy, my writing
Mhm.
partner, who she's 100% just like, I'm gonna make it up as I go along. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, why don't I give it a go? I'll just see where it takes me. And it was so fun and so freeing. And so
Yeah.
now I've kind of developed a model where I will take an idea and I'll sit down, and for about the first 40% of the story, I just write and see where it takes me.
Oh, how
But I
fun.
just, yeah, but it's like, but after the 40% mark, you kind of have to have an idea of where you're going to take it. So that's
Yes.
kind of like my mile marker for me to go, all right, I've had my fun. How do I actually wrap up the story in a meaningful way? What do I need to do now to smooth things out and change it? I don't want to write the whole thing and then have to go back and make these like
Right, right.
significant revisions. So that's kind of my new rule. So I will pants until about 40%, and then I'll take a mild step back and think about not like chapter by chapter how things will play out, but a larger look at how do I tie this thing up in a
Yeah.
really nice way.
Oh, that's amazing. That is absolutely amazing. Yeah, I definitely started out as a pantser myself, and I was
Yeah.
just like, I'm
Yeah.
just gonna write. And like my first book was so bad.
It's
As
hard.
our first ones usually are, right?
Yes.
And I got to the end, I'm
It
like, nothing has happened.
didn't work. Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
80,000 words, nothing has happened. And so then that's when I went back and I was like, oh, so this is why plotting is important.
This is why plotting is important. Yeah, there's validity into both processes,
Yes.
but if you can come and mash them together, I guess that's the sweet spot.
Yeah. No, and I just love that that's your process because it does feel very freeing and very just,
Mhm.
you're just letting the
Yeah,
story kind of take its own shape. And then you go back
exactly.
in and be like, okay, let's do a little shift or a little bit of this,
Mhm.
which
Exactly.
that's really cool.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it took me a little while to figure it out, but now I feel like that's my process. So when people
Yes.
ask, I'm like, this is exactly what I do, and it works.
And it's successful, which is, that's the thing that
I
matters is
hope
like
so.
what gets you to the end, right?
Exactly.
So,
That's very true.
so you mentioned that you have a writing friend that kind of like got you on this like pantsing train. So that's amazing. Congratulations.
Mhm.
Thank you to whoever that is. Like you did a great job. Um, so what does the rest of your writing community look like? How much
Mhm.
have they helped or influenced you on your writing journey?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, writing is a very solo endeavor. And
Yeah.
so for a long time, it was just kind of me and my laptop. And, once you figure things out, you're like, oh, people need to read this and give me feedback. There's a lot of validity in having beta readers, multiple of
Hmm.
them, right? That's a whole other conversation. So when I first started sharing my first novel to a variety of beta readers, that's where I kind of latched on. Her name is Shelby. She'll
Thank
watch
you,
this and
Shelby.
smile. Thank you, Shelby, right? My best friend, who we just swap stories with consistently now. Like we connected randomly on a Facebook group and we're just like, oh,
Yeah.
our stories are similar. Let's just swap. And like now I talk to her every single day and we share, bits and pieces constantly. And that was 5 years ago at this point. So I would say my writing community, it's definitely with her. But earlier this year, I did join another fellow author who hosts a weekly writers group called Carpe Diem. And so I
Nice.
hop on a call every Wednesday evening for about 2 hours. And I just share just a lovely conversation for maybe about 30 to 45 minutes with different writers across the states. And then we turn on a timer and we work silently for an hour. But it's kind of a nice accountability, right? We check in
Yes.
with each other, we swap ideas, we talk through problems, problem solve. And, it's been really lovely. I do look forward to that every week.
Yeah, no, and I think that's so true. Like you kind of mentioned how writing is such a solo endeavor, but
Yeah.
you still need people at some point, either to read it or, like
Yeah.
I have a writing group where we meet in person once a month.
Hmm.
And we sit there for 4 hours and
Oh,
sometimes we get writing done, but mostly we just like talk. We talk about our stories. We do
exactly.
tiny little bits of feedback and things like that.
Yep.
Um,
Hmm.
but it makes such a difference to
Yes.
just be there with other people who are going through it with you.
That's it, right? Because you could have this conversation with someone who's not a writer and they're like, yeah. I'm like, I can't explain it. You don't know. You haven't been in the trenches. It's like you
Yeah.
gotta have your people.
Yeah. People are like, oh, you finished a book. When can I read it? Like, when will it be published? I'm like, even if I had an agent, you're
Well,
looking at 2 to 3 years.
you're
So
looking at some time. Yes. Plus, I need to
yeah.
probably redo half of it at this point. So,
Yeah. Like it's
mhm.
wild. And then
Yeah,
not to harp on Hallmark movies, but they have those sometimes with like the author and she's like finishing her manuscript. And I'm like, that's just not true.
that is so inaccurate. So true.
And my mom will watch it. She's like, well, I watched it and she just did this. And I'm like, okay, mom. Hi, mom, by the way.
Okay, they're
Yeah,
skipping over quite a few processes in
yes.
the book.
It's wild to me. So yeah, the public we need better author rep in the movies.
Yes, that is true.
That's what
Take
we
away from
need.
this, yeah. More accuracy.
Oh my goodness. Um, so what has your best strategy been for connecting with readers? Do you use a newsletter, social media, in-person events? How do you go about finding readers and connecting with them?
Yeah, a great question. All of the above, honestly. Um, I do have a newsletter. I do send out one newsletter per month. I never want to spam anyone or, I don't want
Right.
people to read it and be like, oh my gosh, this girl again, in my inbox. So I try to do it sparingly. Once a month, I do just send out kind of just like a nice little recap of what's going on. Sometimes some little, teasers from stuff that I'm working on, different upcoming appearances for different book events. Sometimes if there's like a cool promotion that I can run or
Mhm.
a Goodreads giveaway or even just like, book recommendation stuff like that. So yes, to a newsletter. I'm also, I'll just call it what it is. I'm a social media junkie. I just
Awesome.
am. Like most of us today, right? Just glued to my phone. And so I find it kind of fun sometimes, the challenge of thinking about how do I market this and find the
Mhm.
right readers for this story? Because let's be real, the romance novel, the romance industry is so saturated. There's
It is.
so
There's a lot out
much
there.
of it, right? So it's like, how do I make mine stand out in the sea of all this other wonderful material? So it truly is a challenge. Um, and social media has changed so
Yes.
much just this year. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's a great way to connect with readers that I wouldn't find otherwise, but it is certainly a challenge.
Yeah. Do you have a
Um,
social media that you found more traction with, like over another?
oh, yes, that answer has changed over
Okay.
several years, I would say. When I first started, Instagram was like the platform. I loved
Okay.
it. Fantastic, great way to connect with people. That changed for a while. Twitter, there's an incredible writing community on Twitter.
Yes. Rest in peace, old writing Twitter. Oh my
Yes,
gosh.
exactly, right? Like
Yes.
it's still there today on X. Like it's still there. It's just not the same.
Right.
Um, Obviously, TikTok has blown up. This has been like the primary hotspot for probably the last year and a half, maybe even more.
Yeah.
Um, Threads obviously has kind of blossomed. I feel like it's seen its day. So is Blue Sky. Like we're
Yeah.
trying all of these different things. Some of it's working, some of it's not. But I would say at the core of it, my favorite platform and the space where I feel like I've connected with the most people, readers and authors alike, still Instagram.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if that's accurate or not, but at least from my experience, that's I feel like where I've engaged with the most.
Yeah. And I feel like it's not ever it's going to be different for everybody, kind of like you said, like it's
Yeah,
changed over the years. It's where you feel most comfortable and where you
yeah,
find the most consistency. So,
exactly. And it's ebbs and flows, like
yeah.
anything else. But yeah, without a doubt, it's
No.
hard.
Have you ever been able to do some in-person events? Like,
Mhm.
and what has that been like?
Yeah. I love doing the in-person events. I feel like I can have a more of a connection with people when we're in the same space at the
Yeah.
same time and hold a book, talk through it, just like touch the pages and stuff. It does make a difference. So I
Yes.
usually try to do at least one in-person event per month.
Hmm.
If I'm lucky, I could get to do two. For example, this upcoming weekend, so I live just south of Chicago. So there's a Writers on the River event in Peoria, which brings in about 150 romance authors into one space.
Oh, that's
And it's
amazing.
totally fun, but very chaotic experience, right? So that's an in-person event I'll be able to attend this upcoming weekend. And there's a local vineyard that's not too far from me that they're having like a arts and literature wine kind of fair. And so that one's always fun. So it's like different types of events, different vibes, different
Hmm.
people, different audience, but as many as those as you can go to, right? Like that's where you're finding your readers
Yeah.
and then they tell
No,
other
I
people. So
I really like that vineyard one. That sounds really good.
me stand there and talk about books and drink wine all day. I'm like, take my money. So,
Perfection. Perfection.
right?
That's the kind of thing
Sign
I
me
would
up.
go to and I just, like get my glass of wine, walk around, walk out with a ton of books. Beautiful.
Same. I know. I always spend more money at those events than I make.
Yes. To just like do an like exchange. Like I will give you my book, you give me your book.
We do. I
Yeah.
mean, you do tend to see like, the same local
Hmm.
faces, right? Who are all doing the same types of events and stuff. And so
Yeah.
absolutely over time, you can't see it because my background's blurred, but bookshelf full of other local authors. So I'm like, let's swap stories, like support each other, but that you pay attention to the finances because
Yep.
this industry is expensive.
Unfortunately, yes. Also
Yes.
true.
Yes. We all know it.
But for those of you who don't know, when you are an author, you do get to write off
It's
buying
true.
new books as like it's like a marketing thing because you're looking at
It
the
is.
market and keeping yourself
Mhm.
informed. So
That is very
that's your
true.
tip of the day.
Write off those expenses.
That's right. Um, my accountant the one year was like, "Do you really need all of these books?" And I'm like,
I
"Yes,
do. I
I
really
I
do.
am a writer. I have to know the market." And he was like, "All right." I had bought so many. It
Take
was
it.
during the pandemic. I bought so many during the pandemic. Like,
Well, there's the case, right, for like craft books of like, I need to
yes,
better my skill, but then there's
right.
also you need to read in your genre to be able to
Mhm.
write effectively. And,
Yeah,
it doesn't hurt to have research in other genres too, so.
right. Right, because you're going to bring those pieces in. So yeah.
Mhm, exactly.
See, again, like this is I feel like we're best friends already. Like we
Same.
got this.
We all have shared experiences.
Yes. So the small press publishing landscape
Mhm.
has really undergone drastic shifts in the past few years, and it's opening up the door for so many brilliant writers that may not be recognized in that traditional space.
Mhm.
What advice do you have for writers that are listening in as they start to explore their own publishing paths?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I would start answering this question by saying that there's no one right path.
Yeah.
Um, the more people I talk to who are like, I want to write a book and I've started writing a manuscript, and what can you tell me? What do I do? I always start the conversation by saying, just because this is what I did
Yes.
doesn't mean it's right for you. Everyone has their own goals, their own ideas, and they prioritize things differently. So it depends on what your priorities are, right?
Hmm.
For me, at the time when I decided to move forward with small press, I was naive. I was not well educated in the publishing industry, and I thought that this was going to be like a wonderful, massive, fulfilling process.
Yeah.
But I know now that opportunities to pursue there are other paths to take. Just tell readers, authors, aspiring writers, whatever that looks like, just do your research to move forward. Small press will do a lot of wonderful things for you, but there is a stopping point.
Hmm.
So if you are concerned about promotion and marketing and sales, stop and think because you will not have those types of things in your back pocket. They're still your responsibility. But up front, right, there's not a lot of costs associated with
Right.
it, like there would be self-publishing. So I signed a contract, and full transparency, right? When I sign a contract for a small press publishing deal, I get a editor for likely 2 rounds of editing.
Hmm.
They will do the interior formatting for me, and they will design a cover. And that's a nice collaborative process. Beyond that, you're on your own, right? So I haven't invested anything up front, but when I sell books, I only receive 40% of the royalties back for an e-sale and only 20% back on a paperback sale.
Oof.
So sure, I saved money up front,
Right.
but I'm not seeing a lot of return. And that's really not a sustainable model for most people. So do your research, think about what that contract is going to look like and what's most important to you. At the
Hmm.
time, it worked great for me, and I don't change anything. I don't, think I would
Yeah.
have done anything different. But in hindsight, once you're a little bit more further into the journey, you start to see holistically what are some other options and what are better paths to pursue for this point in time.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. And I think I've talked to so many different authors who have gone
Hmm.
all different ways with this.
Oh, right.
And you're right, like no one way works for one person. And some
No.
people I know have like started out with an agent
Yep.
and then they left that agent and then they went
Hmm.
to self-publishing or small press
Totally.
or,
Hmm.
you know,
Yep.
so many different things. So I think that's
All of the
really
above.
smart.
All of the above. Yep. Yep. It's do what's best for you and what works best for your book. Timing is everything too. I mean, the publishing industry wants one thing right now, and then you spend the time and write it. And by the time you
Yes.
write it and get it out there, it's changed. The trend is no longer there, right? Like
Yes.
I think we've all fallen victim to that. So it depends a lot on what kind of book you're trying to sell, right? Because
Yeah.
ultimately it's still a bankable, marketable product. So you do have to hit the right spaces to be successful.
Yeah, you really do. It's a timing thing. There's
Yeah.
just so many little, I always say
Yeah.
like
And
when the stars are shining and a
mhm,
kangaroo jumps backwards 4 times and the planets align and
yeah.
this happens, that's
Yep.
when I will get my agent.
But there's some luck to it too. I mean, it's
Yes.
right timing, right place, right person. It's incredibly true.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's important to remember because like I know when I first started querying, I did take it
Hmm.
very personally. I was like how dare you don't like me in my book? Like you don't like me, you don't
Same.
think I'm a good person. And
Right.
now like I got a rejection on a full like a month and a half ago and I was like, "Ugh, another one." Like, okay. And I went on with my life. Like I didn't there was
Yep.
no mourning process.
Nope. You do. You develop thick skin in this
Yeah.
industry very quickly. Yes. Hmm.
Yeah. So I'm just like, all right, like whatever. I found 3 more agents. I sent it out again. It's just doing its thing.
It's all you can
Yeah,
do.
yeah, like
The
whatever.
moment will come. Hmm.
Yeah, and actually now I'm collecting like small press information and self-publishing information because I'm like,
Yep.
I want this book to exist. So,
Exactly. And if those stars aren't aligning and that
right.
kangaroo's not there right now, doesn't mean that
Yes.
will never happen. But for the moment, you do have to pursue options. Do what's best for you in the time.
Yeah. 100%. 100%. So as we speak about all these options, I'm really excited about this. It's like, yay. So I want you to kind of tell us what's next for you, and you have some exciting news. I found it exciting. Maybe other people, I think we're going to find it exciting,
Hopefully.
but I don't think it's maybe as fresh or as new as I'm thinking. But either way, what's recently happened in your writing life?
Yes. Well, I'm very happy and very proud to share that after being in the query trenches for several months, I did sign with an agent about a month ago. So yay, it
Yeah,
finally happened.
well, that's so exciting. Um,
Thank
so
you.
just can you tell
Mhm.
us a little bit more about all of that
Totally,
magical moment?
totally.
Please do.
Absolutely. I will give
We
you
love
some
success
background.
stories.
Me too. It's nice to be on the side of it for once.
Yes.
Yes. So last September, I started a new round of querying, right? I had kind of finished that sixth book with Inkspell, and I thought,
Mhm.
okay, I'm going to start writing something new, something a little different, and I'm going to explore different opportunities,
Yeah.
right? So I kind of switched from doing contemporary romance to romantic suspense.
Okay.
And I wrote 3 books, all in that genre, all unrelated, but they were just different, right? They were just different from what I traditionally had done before. So I'm like, okay, this is different writing. It was a different like perspective, a different approach. I kind of went from that plotter to pantser,
Mhm.
mindset. So I felt like it was different enough that I could give it a shot and try to secure an agent. So I queried 1 book and got nothing, right? Couple of fulls, a couple partials, but always the same answer. No, this isn't good for me at this time. Best of luck, right? All right, whatever. Wrote the next one, queried again. Same thing, right? Wrote the third one, queried again. Crickets, right? It's like you have to be right time, right
Yeah.
place. It just has to work, right? Those stars have to align. And so, funny story how this all kind of transpired, but I was kind of on the tail end of like, I didn't have many agents left to query on that third romantic suspense book. And
Hmm.
so I thought, all right, I'm getting a little discouraged. I'm getting a little burnt out. I am going to try something new and I'm going to write a rom-com instead. So while this query process was playing out, I tried something a little different
Yeah.
and wrote this silly little rom-com story. Um, and as I was working on that, I don't know if you're familiar with some of these games that authors play on X. It was called Quest Pit.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with this? Okay, there's like Kiss Pitch. There's all kinds of like basically the goal of it, right, is to write a compelling pitch in
Hmm.
a single tweet and send it out. And if an agent likes it, that's kind of opening the doors to submit your
Yeah.
query. So my friend Shelby, she was like, I'm going to play this game tomorrow. You should do it too. And I'm like, all right, we'll share each other's stuff. Like what's the worst that can happen?
Right.
Well, funny enough, right? So I send out my 4 tweets for my 3 different stories and I got this like from this lovely man. His name is Chip Rice, and he
Hmm.
is an agent at WordLink Incorporated.
Okay.
He was not on my list. He was not on my radar. I hadn't come across him yet at all, but he liked this pitch for this tweet. So I'm like, oh, okay, somebody is showing interest. Let's go ahead and send off that email. He replied almost instantly, which was like, oh my God.
Okay, hold on for just one
Yes,
second.
yes.
My computer just froze.
Oh no.
So I need you to go back
Oh shoot.
and say
Okay.
from the he replied almost instantly
Oh, okay.
and tell us that story again because I'm not letting that slide.
Okay. Sounds good. Are we good now?
Yes, yeah, we're good.
Okay. Okay. So he replied almost instantly. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is fantastic, right? Because typically there's a lot of silence, right, that follows when
Yeah.
you send a query. If you get a response back, it's like, weeks, it's months, So I was thrilled that he was showing me interest and actually replying to me pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So let 2 weeks go by and I hadn't heard from him. And so by now, like I had been querying for months and months. And I'm like, I'm so impatient. So I'm like, "Ah, I'm just going to send him a little note that says, hi, remember me. I hope you're
Remember?
enjoying the story. And he wrote back and he's like, I'm so sorry. I am going to read it. I just haven't gotten to it. I'm swamped. And I'm like, okay, no worries. Just want to let you know, in case you're more interested in this space, I just wrapped up a rom-com. Here's the pitch.
Yeah.
And he wrote back and was like, I'd rather read that one. So I said, okay, I'm happy to share that with you. So I sent it over, and maybe a week passes. And then I got that magical, wonderful email in my inbox that said, let's set up a video call.
Yes.
And you know as well as I do, that is code for I'm going to talk and I'm likely
Yeah.
going to offer you representation. So I got all giddy and all excited because after so many
Wow.
rejections and so many hours spent refining a pitch and writing a
Mhm.
synopsis, and it's terrible, right? It's a hard process.
It is
So,
rough.
right? It's terrible. Hopped on that call. We spent an hour of our time together getting to know each other. And long story short, I was offered representation for my rom-com, not the
Mm.
actual manuscript that I submitted through a silly game on Twitter. So, very strange experience, but here we are.
Yep, but it got you there.
It
Um,
did.
that is a lovely story. And I love that. So, like, the rom-com kind of got you there
Yeah,
as far as the full, but now you also have these other three books in your back pocket
I
that
do.
are done and just need
Yep,
revisions or edits or, like that's so you got
I
like four
do.
books ready to go.
I do. I do. We kind of talked about that because this
Yeah.
rom-com that I submitted to him, he's like, your voice is very different. This is a different style of writing.
Mhm.
I'm like, I know, but what happens to those three other stories? And he's like, they're there. They're not
Yeah.
going anywhere. He's like, don't get hung up on them. He's like, but if you're going to enter this world, right, as a rom-com author, you're going to
Hmm.
confuse your readers if you have these other stories from different spaces. I'm like, oh, all right. Wise words. Okay, I'll give that to
Yeah.
you. So they're there. When the time is right, maybe I get to pull them out again, or I pursue different, options. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know yet, but I'm very focused on this rom-com space. And ironically, I just wrapped up a first draft of a different one this morning. So
Another rom-com.
another rom-com. I feel like I
Awesome.
finally figured out where the space is that I need to be.
Yeah. So
Yes,
do you think it would be possible to take those romantic suspense and turn those into rom-coms? Like a suspense that's
possibly.
also a rom-com?
Is that a thing? Can you bend those genres together? Why not,
Why
right?
not? Why
Why
not?
not?
Do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I
You
love
seem
the
like you're up
ideas.
for like new things.
You know, sometimes you just throw a thing against the wall and you just see what sticks. I feel like that's been my entire experience so far in this
Yeah.
world. Just see what plays out, what kind of opportunities come, and the opportunities do come, and you just gotta figure out if they're right for you or not.
Yeah. No, and I also really think that you've talked so much about just I wanted to try something new and I learned from that and I shifted and I changed and just that willingness to evolve I think is
Oh
so
yeah.
important as a writer to not just be like I'm a one trick pony and this is what I
No,
do.
I don't think you
um
can be. You
yeah.
just you can't. You gotta evolve with the space and evolve
Hmm.
with the industry. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like that's just so smart and I feel like all of your experience even with those first six
Oh
books
yeah.
like all of that has just led up and it's
Hmm.
accumulated and now here you are and you have an
You
agent and
know?
new
Yeah.
possibilities on the horizon.
Exactly. It's like you gotta set your foundation. So it's
Hmm.
like I don't fault myself for anything that I did.
Right.
You even stuff as simple as like I built a website, I established a newsletter mailing list, like all those things
Mhm.
have to happen. And it does make you more marketable when somebody does look twice at your
Yes.
manuscript. Like you're like, oh wow, this person is not fresh. They're not a newbie. Like they already have a solid space for us to start. It
Hmm.
makes a difference. Yeah.
It really does. No, I
Mhm.
love that. Love
Yeah.
that for you. I'm so
Thank
excited.
you. Thank you. I
Um,
love telling the story.
so small follow-up to that. Like
Hmm.
when this is the
Yeah.
$50,000 question, right? Like when are you guys going to send that comedy out so that we can
Yeah.
get it out to
Yes. Okay.
publishers?
So here's the tentative timeline.
Yeah.
So right now I just wrapped up some revisions that he
Mhm.
wanted to see. We kind of had to expand some things, develop a couple things, pull back in different places. So it's in a lengthy spot right now. We're going to spend the rest of the month kind of getting it down into kind of that sweet spot, right? Like
Yeah.
75, 80,000 words. Right now, it's sitting at about 15,000 too many, right? So
Ooh.
I gotta, I know I'm like, I gotta
Yes.
pare this down a little bit. He tells me he's great at it. I'm gonna trust him,
Mhm.
right? So we're gonna get into a sweet spot. And then ideally, we will go out on submission with it's called Love and Honey Buns.
Ooh,
It'll go
I love
out on
it.
submission after Labor Day. And then I'm just gonna
Yes.
sit here and I'm gonna cross my fingers and wait for that kangaroo to bounce by. And
Yes.
we'll
We'll all be
go. So
crossing our fingers with you.
well, thank you. I appreciate it. You know,
Yeah, and then
it's
when it
hard.
comes out, we're going
Hmm.
to need to get in touch again so that that way we can do another like
Yes.
pre-release type of an interview. And you can tell us
Sign me
all
up.
about
Sign me
love
up.
and honey buns. Like,
It's so it's just like such a simplistic, silly thing that's just got a funny angle to it. It totally
yeah,
works.
no,
So,
I love it. Like, I want to read it just based on the title alone. I'm like, I'm in. I'm in.
I ironically it was a side tangent here, but it was my husband. One night, he's also a writer. He kind of looked at me and he goes, "You should write a story about honey buns." And I went, "What?" He goes, "No, just hear me out a second." And he gave me this like theme that I could work around.
Yeah,
And I'm like, okay, that's got legs. Let's play with that a little bit. Magically enough, right? This is the story that propels me
that gets
forward.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. He'll
I
never
feel
let
like
me forget that.
whenever anybody says no, hear me out to like a
Uh-huh.
wacky idea, you're like, this is going to be gold, and I have to listen.
Well, here's proof, right? Those wacky
Yes.
ideas actually do translate into something.
Yeah. No. Oh my gosh, that's awesome. I cannot wait to hear more about this.
Oh,
Um,
thank you.
love it. Love it. All right. So I do love all of my conversations with my authors, but I really love when I get to my lightning round questions just because they're goofy.
Let's
And
do
I
it.
enjoy them. So here
Let's
we
do
go.
it. Okay.
Question one. If you
Mhm.
were going to set a world record, what would it be in?
Okay. So this is a really hard question, but I think my answer is going to be world's speediest reader.
Ooh,
And the reason for that is because as a writer, as an author, who doesn't love to read?
yeah.
Think of the stories you could consume and the research you can do if I read twice as fast as I did now. So that's my answer, world's speediest reader.
That's amazing. Do you listen to audiobooks?
I don't
Okay.
I don't have a strong attention span for it. I'm
Yeah.
more of a visual person. Yeah.
I do feel like it's like a skill that you have to acquire
Yeah.
because I used to not be able to, and I've gradually gotten there.
Gotten there.
Um, but like I listen to audiobooks on like 1.5 or 1.6 speed.
Yes. Yes, right? Because you could consume the information faster.
Yeah, and I know somebody who listens like slowest is point 0.2, and I'm like, how do you manage that? Like, I just don't know, man. Um,
Do what works for your brain.
yeah, but I'm like that would be a way to like get that
Hmm.
speed reading in there.
That is true. That is very true.
Yeah, have you ever taken a speed reading course?
No, I've spent my fair share of time in the classroom. I've done
Uh,
two different graduate degrees, and
oh my
one of
gosh.
them was in English. And so, like, you just to be able to consume it all and be able to talk about it like in a
Mhm.
smart capacity, you
Yes.
do have to learn how to speed read through some of those more
Oh
academic
yeah.
pieces that are difficult to understand.
No, like
But
congratulations on doing two.
it was hard. It was time consuming, I'll say that. But it does teach you, right, how to
Yes.
consume information in bite-sized pieces and then be able to talk about it well.
Yeah, no, I feel I mean, like this is a little bit getting like, I guess not off topic because we're doing an interview. You can't get off
Yeah.
topic in an interview.
No, you can't.
Um, but I feel like even that would
Hmm.
affect your ability to write well because you're able to now look at like other pieces
Hmm.
of writing and consume those and go
Yes.
back and look at yours and just all of those things are going to interplay and make you a better author.
I fully support that statement. I didn't go into that degree thinking this will help me. I just thought, oh, well, I have
Yeah.
time. I may as well. I worked at a university at the time, and so the tuition was covered. So I was like, why would I
Nice.
not do this?
Yeah.
But in hindsight, right, I'm like, oh my gosh, the time that I spent in those classrooms has been incredibly beneficial. I just didn't know it
Yeah.
at the time why I was doing it.
No, that's amazing. Um, okay, question number two.
Yes.
You have just been transported to the world of the last TV show that you've watched. So where did you end up and what are your chances of survival?
Fabulous question, because I'm happy to talk about this. So my husband and I, we just rewatched the TV show Lost.
Oh
So,
God.
so I'm transported back to this mysterious island that no one can identify where it's
Yeah.
at. And am I going to survive? No. I am an indoor girl. And so surviving on a beach with no resources is not for me.
You're like the
First killed off in the
first
first episode.
episode, yeah, like just done.
Yeah. Just done. Side character.
Oh my God.
Great show, by the way, though.
Yeah, yeah.
Love
No,
it.
that's usually like I have not actually watched Lost, but usually I watch shows that are very
Yep.
dangerous and no chances of survival. And right now I've been watching a lot of K dramas. So I'm like, okay, like I could do this. Like I could
I
be
could do
transported there and I'll survive. Like I'll be fine. I'm gonna eat some really good food, meet some awesome people.
right. See, smart. I know.
Yes.
I'm done
Yeah.
right away.
Oh my gosh. All right, third question.
Yes.
What is the best topping for pancakes or waffles? So your choice. I
Mhm,
don't know what your preference would be, but
mhm. So I guess controversial answer to this, no toppings at all.
ooh,
I'm not a breakfast kind of girl. And so
okay.
if I'm gonna eat a pancake or a waffle, I'm not gonna be happy about it. And I probably don't want anything on it. So
Like
weird
not even
answer, but it's
butter?
the truth. No, no, just dry.
Oh
Just
wow.
dry. Yeah. I don't,
Fascinating.
yeah, to each his own, right? I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's I'm
It's
I
a
just want to think
weird
about this
answer.
now.
Weird girl who eats dry pancakes, I guess, but
Because I don't like I'll do just butter. Like butter can work for me. I mean,
hmm
I have my own preference for best toppings, but like
yes.
I will do if there's no toppings available because I don't like syrup.
Oh,
Um,
okay. Well, I don't
yeah, so
either.
I'm just like, just I'm having a butter pancake and
There you go. Yeah,
yeah.
I suppose if I had to choose, that makes the most sense.
Yeah, because like they're really dry. So I mean, but if you're
They
gonna
are
if you're just gonna eat it out of spite with like nothing on it,
kind of like a forced breakfast experience. Yes.
I support that 100%. 100%. You I feel like you need to work that into a book at some point. Like have
You
a
know what?
discussion about.
You know what? This is my agreement. Consider it done. You will find this in a future story. Dry
Yes,
pancakes.
please do it. Um, all right. And question number four is if
Mhm.
you could read any book again for the first time and re-experience it brand new, what would it be?
The Lord of the Rings, hands down. That's an easy question for me. I love the Tolkien legendarium.
Yeah.
It's my favorite thing. I've been huge, crazy, nerdy fan for a million years at this point. So if I could go back and consume that story for the first time again, magic.
I love that. How many times have you reread it?
Oh, at least 15.
At least 15.
Yeah,
Fascinating.
it's one of those where I can't read it every year.
Yeah.
Every other, like yeah, when you're in the mood and it strikes you again, it's just so good. I love it. Yeah.
I tried to read it like 2 years ago because I loved it when the first time I read it, I was like, this is
Mhm.
magical.
Yeah.
And I went back and
Mhm.
I couldn't get past the first chapter.
The writing is very difficult. You have to want to read it. I always tell
Yes.
people you have to have the desire
Yes.
to get the story and find the magic because if that if that story was sent to a publisher today,
Oh my
it would
gosh.
not get picked up. There's no
No.
chance. There's no chance, right? So you have to want to get the story because you know it's a
Yes.
magical story, but the writing is a chore.
Yeah.
And I say that with a kind heart.
Yeah, no, but you're right. It is like
Yeah.
it's so heavy and dense, and like it's a little bit of a slog. And then you get to these beautiful,
Mhm.
brilliant pieces. And the
Yes.
characters are obviously like
Yes.
fantastic. Everything's so
Yes.
good. But
Hmm.
it's a slog at points.
You do. It is. It's, I call it a chore. It is.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you can see past that surface, it's gorgeous.
I'm gonna say that I cheat and I just watch the extended versions of the films.
I mean, let's be real, equally as good.
Yes. Yeah, yeah. 100%. But I'm like, okay, this is and like you get the whole thing in one day. You're just like, okay, I'm sitting here
Indeed, you
doing
do.
my thing.
Exactly.
Excellent, excellent choice. Like top tier, top tier. All right. So thank you so much for joining us today. You can find links, Scribblers, to Julie's webpage below. Please check it out, order her books, get reading, do all this, be on the lookout, join up on the newsletter because then you will get the first knowledge of like
Yes.
all the exciting publishing news that is to come, I'm sure. Thank you so much for chatting with the Scribblers Den today. I've had so much fun talking to you and I can't wait to read more.
Well, thank you so much. This has been a wonderful conversation. Thank you for like, I've obviously had a cold here for a couple days, so I'm trying to power through it. So I apologize for coughing mid through, but thank you. Lovely conversation. I had so much fun getting to know you.
Yeah, no, it's been fun. All right. So, Scribblers, you know the drill. I need you to hit that like button. I need you to subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Bye, guys.